We're back saving your saves, and I don't have any hair. Where'd it go? At least now I meet the criteria of being a serious world-class manager. The first save we're saving is from Georgian, and it's with Wrexham, but there is a big twist in here. Look. Before the season skyrocketed through the leagues into the Conference League, this season we had a good start, stringing several wins in both the Prem and the Conference League together. Then in mid-season something broke down and we've hit the wall. Completely unable to win or score, losing 11 out of the last 13 games in the Prem. Losing! At the same time, Conference League seems like a walk in the park, making it even more confusing. Turnover from the last season is low, and the senior team and tactics are mostly the same from the previous year. I am happy financially, not looking to spend the budget for the sake of spending it in case we get buried in the championship in the end. Overall, not quite sure what happened in November, thus can't figure out how to fix it. When I saw somebody had lost 11 of their last 13 games, my saving save spidey senses were tingling. My spidey senses—
Tell me this is gonna get
tasty, baby! So just looking at how you've gone up the leagues here, tremendous promotion from National League, next year up to League One, 2 years up to the championship, straight out of the championship into the Premier League, then 14th, then 7th. So it's been a rocket ship to the top. Now all of a sudden, after 24, what is Swansea doing? Dude! What? Swansea is okay, I have a heart attack. Swansea, that is arguably, stay focused. Now you're 3 points out of relegation positions after 24 matches played. I can understand why you were incredibly alarmed. And how does the board feel about all this? They're not particularly excited. Finish mid-table was the goal, but latter stages of the Conference League accomplished. I don't think you're going to lose your job. You are disappointing the culture, though, because your defense is bad. How bad is it? Well, if we're looking for the reasons that you're having a problem, the only team with a worse defense than you is the team that has 4 points all season, and they've only allowed 4 more goals than you have. 56 goals allowed in 24 matches is a massive, massive, massive defensive problem. You have a defensive problem, because I'm looking at all the teams around you here, and you really, your offense isn't that bad. You're squarely mid-table. Oh, come on, the Conference League's going well because you're playing Breitens. You beat them. You beat them 10-0. Lost 5 straight matches. Everton, Aston Villa, Newcastle. You've given up multiple goals in all of these games, but one, a loss away to Tottenham. I mean, you are bleeding goals. Something awful. Your team is so good. You have no business, absolutely no business being as bad as your team is. But nothing in the tactic hit me right away as a huge problem. I do think that in terms of player instructions in general, it's a very attacking tactic, but shape-wise, this is a 4-2-3-1. It's a gegenpressing 4-2-3-1 with 2 defensive midfielders who are both on support. What I'm thinking is happening here is your wingbacks seem to be they're very aggressive this year. They're getting caught further up the field, and because you aren't locking your defensive midfielders into position, they're getting caught up in the field, and you end up with 3-on-2 against your center backs with a fair amount of regularity, which, considering the talent against you in the Premier League, that is a really big problem. And if you're playing with a high line too, that's going to bait all of these guys that don't have any hold position in their player instructions forward. And if they're on support, they're on attack, like one of your wingbacks, they're not getting a lot of help from this attacking midfielder right here. He's on attack, he's got get further forward. Inside forward's a very attacking role, even if you have it on support instead of attack mentality. Gegenpressing is great. It is still great, it will always be great, but players get more tired faster in this game than they have in years past. And you can get caught in a bad position in this game more often than in years past. And that can be caused by this high line. You might actually be able to solve most of the problem by doing that. If you're gonna have multiple wingbacks be very aggressive, that is the least that you need. And you probably wanna do that too. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that, but you're going to need to apply a lot of your pressure on the wings if both of your wingbacks are going forward. If not, you can pick one of these guys and put them on a fullback to be a little bit more responsible. Personally, this year, I use a fullback on defend. Also, if you're going to be as attacking as you are, being on a balanced mentality is just strange unless you have the philosophy of changing it in the first 10 minutes of a match based off how the match is going. But given the fact that you just keep losing all of these games, that's probably not what you're doing, right? If you're going to be that aggressive, you want your mentality to be higher so you're not artificially restraining your ability to go out and dominate as much as you might be able to, leaving an opening for teams to counter your backside off. Couple more things. One, you had an advanced playmaker who had 10 passing. Why? Don't. Attacking midfielder, shadow striker, if you really want to apply that pressure up the middle of the field, or better. Playmakers have the field tilted toward them. What I mean by that is that they have a gravitational pull. The ball is supposed to go to them. If you have two of them on the field, they end up in the same spots sometimes. And if they're not great at passing, you don't want them to end up with the ball. Advanced playmakers also shoot less. So if you're playing this guy in this position, you don't want him to shoot less. I'd feel a lot better about this tactic already. Because you are where you're supposed to be in the league, according to the XG table. You're just not had a good year, and I think it's because you're putting guys in roles that they're not necessarily well equipped to handle, like our friend with 10 passing, and the tactic's just crazy attacking, and if you've got guys that are in positions they don't know how to use, that's just compounding issues, and then all of a sudden your locker room atmosphere starts to take a nosedive and your team becomes bad. But you have the talent to turn this around, right? You can still win the Conference League. You should be safe in the Premier League. Just get a little bit more responsible with where you're putting players and the mentality and roles of your team. Next, we have a submission from Reese, the editor, who's managing Team Zealand. My boss is bald and thinks it's acceptable to grow it back. How do I convince him to focus on growing a mustache rather than growing his head hair back? They've attached a file here, if we could just take a look at that. I can explain. If you want to keep embarrassing images like this away from prying eyes like your editor, for example, you can use the longtime sponsor of this channel, NordVPN. NordVPN might sound intimidating, but if you're not using it, you're exposing your internet traffic to people who are good at accessing that stuff. The way NordVPN works is it sends your internet traffic through servers in some other part of the world that makes it much harder to follow because you can't science. And while the process is complicated, the user interface is actually very easy. You just click this drop down and then boom, you are anywhere in the world, well, anywhere that NordVPN's got a point for you to route through in the world, and your internet traffic is safe. If you're in school using public Wi-Fi, if you're at a coffee shop using public Wi-Fi, if you're anywhere using public Wi-Fi, you should also be using NordVPN. And you can get a great deal on NordVPN because you can get 4 months free as part of a 2-year deal. 4 months. The whole thing is risk-free with a 30-day free trial at the link in the top of the description. I use NordVPN on all of my devices, which is why apparently only Reese is able to get his hands on that picture, and also it's probably because I tweeted it. Follow the Twitter for more hot Zealand content. Oh God. Anyways, use NordVPN, get a great deal in the description, and keep your internet traffic safe. So as long as you don't tweet an image like this, you will be safe. Thank you, Reese, for your submission, I think. Next, Ellis Edwards at UCD Dublin. Hi, Z. Hi, how you doing? I'm currently in 2027 in my Build a Nation save. All has been going well, however, I'm actually struggling. I love that. All has been going well. However, I am struggling with a bunch of things, and allow me to list them. Struggling to find Wonder Kids or ones who actually want to join me, making the next step competing for the Champions League, although I did get the Champions Final last year. That won't be sustainable as I keep losing players. Wait, hold on. You got to the Champions League Final? What are you doing here? I'm struggling to make other Irish teams improve. There we go. This is a fascinating little issue to have. Now, there are a lot of philosophies on ways to handle this. Let us begin. There it is, Champions League runner-up. And look, if you've already gotten to the Champions League Final, I only have one word for you when it comes to team building. Relax. The more that you do stuff like that, the more those players will want to stay, and you are clearly already finding players that are good enough. The issue that we are here to address is how to save the rest of Ireland from getting constantly abused by you. Guys, 70 caps at 22 years old? It's coming for Ronaldo's record. Actually, outside of relax, just make sure that you extend contracts as much as possible so that you can wait out frustrated young players, and then when they're not frustrated, offer them another contract. That's the way you keep hold of these guys. But to how to save Ireland, the number one thing you have to do is to continue to win. Your success will drive revenue and exposure and raise the reputation of the Irish League. That is the number one thing you can do. There is another thing you can do, but it is more difficult the better you get. Initially, you can emphasize loaning players to other Irish teams, but the problem you have here is that you get to a point where your senior team is so good that even the players you're loaning out aren't interested in playing in Ireland. They're going to play in the Premier League or something, you know, they're going to go play in Ligue 1 on loan because that's where those types of players are going to develop. So what you need to do is build a B team, which you don't really have right now, right? Your reserve team is just kind of If we look at the team that is just below you, we look at their starting attacking midfielder, he is 4 steps away from what your team is capable of. If you build a reserve team of 2 stars, even if they're just playing a friendly every week, you are creating a farm system for the rest of your league. You can attempt to loan those guys out to every other Irish team, and that is an active bit of donating that you can do to the rest of your league. Because those guys will actually want to play in your league. If you're aiming at the 2-star level, those are going to be 3-4-star players for the other teams. They're not going to have to pay their wages. You eat the wages because you're the huge rich club and you help provide your league with talent that way. But look, this is going to take time. You're in 2032. You're not even 10 years into the save. You've done a tremendous job managing your club, but there is a long way to go for a league like Ireland to become a top 5 league in Europe. It is possible to do in the game, but it requires a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and little tricks like building out a full reserve team of actually decent quality players where you have to sacrifice a bit of wage budget in order to make it happen so that you can loan more effective players to the other teams in your league. Other small things include investing in your youth facilities and your youth setup to make sure it's as good as possible and just spitting players out into the whole Irish league system. And whenever possible, selling players that aren't good enough to make your team within your league and rejecting offers from outside of the league itself. Next, we have Trudy99, who is managing Taunton Town.
What do you have to say about this?
Taunton Town, of course, the club that we are managing on stream right now. If you click the Twitch link in the description, the Twitch link? A new website just dropped. It's called Twitch, dude. Performances have just fallen off a cliff, and I'm on a horrible run of form, which has led to me potentially being relegated. Not the Peacocks. This is my first ever lower league save, and we won the Vanarama National League South title last year and got promoted. I'm using your lower league tactic, and the first half of this season was going relatively well, and we had one of the best goal scoring records in the league. But the defense are terrible, and Zealand, stop. Nobody cares. And we are the worst, conceding penalties every other game at least, conceding from second balls on set pieces, loads of stupid goals and long shots too. It's infuriating. Not only that, but now the goals have dried up too, and we're seriously looking at relegation this season. The finances are an absolute mess as well. Please help. I'm on the way. Oh no! Oh wow. 5 matches left in the season. 1 goal difference out of a promotion spot? This is going to be tight. So first season was 17th in the National League South. Second season was first place. Excellent turnaround. Wow, you do have the worst defense in the league. Shipping 77 goals. Ugh. Diving right into the formation, this is a formation that I did use as part of my Taunton save, but there was a variety in the midfield that you actually don't have here. And this happens when your team starts to struggle. You are over defending. 2 ball-winning midfielders here is not good. Not only do you not have a playmaker, you don't have anybody that's going to be starting further up the field, somebody that is able to join the attack in the front 3. Your goals are drying up because this front 3 is being asked to do it all by themselves. Wingbacks at this level are never going to be good enough to get up and down the wing, defend, and play offense, so I'm very much willing to bet that neither of these guys are in any way able to assist the offense. Actually, this guy's very good wingback at this level. Great find. But putting one of these players on a more aggressive mindset would be the way to go here. I know that sounds counterintuitive to how bad your defense has been, but if you just have 7 guys waiting for Armageddon, Armageddon will come meet them. You need to be able to engage a little further up the field instead of having this like pack of wild dogs running around chasing the ball once it gets near them, and there's space when that happens. So this guy will just Segundo Falante. Actually, this guy's a very good passer. This guy right here, very good passer, not a bad defender, and we will go ahead and there you go. that. Next, find a guy that's tall, that's not bad at facilitating, and do that. This will save your entire life. Look, the AI is reactive in Football Manager, so I actually just hit my 400 games achievement in my stream save. This is one of the favorite formations for the AI, which means it is one of the best formations for the game itself. Nobody that is the AI managing department actually use that, but they do use that. There is no way for the defense to get narrow enough to be able to account for this. This guy's crazy fast, so you just want him running around anywhere. This guy's crazy tall, so you want him standing there. And then this guy can even be on Shadow Striker, but that also helps you disrupt the opponent's buildup because Essen not only can play there, he is going to naturally just get in the way of midfield buildup and help you out defensively. The last thing for the tactic is do one of those two. Everybody you're playing is bad. Get stuck in is fine, but if you're having huge issues with penalties, which you are, take it off and close down instead. Constrict the opposition's space. The less space they have to play in, the more mistakes they're going to make. That's true at any level, but down at this level, just physically going forward, especially when you have a back 7 block, physically going forward to force them to just turn the ball over and bring out how bad they are is a great strategy. The most important thing at this level is player recruitment. You have figured that out. You've got your shortlist for the championship, your shortlist for the Premier League, and this will help you long term. It's all about survival right now. Next, we have Ollie TM with Gruner. My first time doing lower league management in Norway with an additional database, and I took my childhood club. That is awesome. I got promoted in the first season and choked back-to-back promotion by losing 5-1 in the final day. Oh, the FM experience. I'm preparing for season 3, and what I mostly look for from you is a check if I'm on the right way, what I might have missed on the way, and maybe some tips of finding players. I turned semi-pro by promoting, but finding players willing to play on level 5 of Norway is very difficult. I'll be honest, there's one way to tell whether you're doing this right or not, and it's how you're building your team. So I'm going to go to transfers, history, and then we're going to go back a year, and I can very comfortably say you're doing this the right way. You're on the right track, as long as the guys you are bringing in on free are better than the guys you're letting go on a free. You are doing this exactly the right way. I must say that your board, very high expectations. They're expecting automatic promotions, so you better put on your hard hat and win that match 5-1 this year, or you might be in a little bit of trouble. But you have the right idea. Keep doing that and keep battling for promotion. It's getting promoted at all costs until you become professional, and then the game changes again to developing a team a little bit more. But until you're professional, you are playing the game exactly the way it's supposed to be played. Also, being bold enough to play much shorter passing in the 5th division of Norway, that earns the Zealand seal of approval. Hope it works. I think it did last year, so almost.